Another rare opportunity for you to try to shatter Bob Grant. It's called Gag, Get, at Grant. There are only two rules. One, you can't say anything nice. Two, you can't repeat yourself. That's it. Now stay tuned for another chance to get at Grant. Go after him with both barrels blazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this, and if you do your part correctly, I will have very little to say for the remainder of this program today. But I must tell you, the staff here, the indigenous personnel, relishes a Gag Hour. They quell, they beam. When you people are doing your job correctly. So if you can follow the rules, we will have a Gag Hour, and of course this means anybody can call. And if you do your part right, I'll just sit here and I'll have to take it. But if you aren't doing it the way it's supposed to be done, we'll just suspend the game. It's that simple. That having been said, enough out of me already. It's the Gag Hour. Tom, hello.
Hello, Bob. I'm going to request special dispensation. It's been over 10 years since I talked to you, and I didn't even know what a Gag Hour was. You remember the guy who helped you move when you moved back to New York from Philadelphia?
Yeah, well, why this special dispensation, Tom?
Well, because I don't want to gag you.
Well, then call a week from Monday, and we'll talk.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Where do you live, by the way?
Philadelphia.
Oh, but you're on the New York line. Okay. Yes, you still have the gas station?
Got rid of it in January, bought a place in the Poconos.
I see. Why don't you drop me a line here at WABC, 2 Penn Plaza, New York, 10121.
10121, I'll do that.
And I'd love to hear from you because you proved to me you were a stand-up guy and a real friend. Thank you.
I'll do that, Bob.
Okay. All right. He deserved the special dispensation. Okay. Now, Peter, you're at WABC. Go ahead, please.
Bob, you really make me sick. How you doing? And you get annoyed at people. I could care less how you doing. I hope you drop dead tomorrow, you pusillanimous pipsqueak. You are disgusting. You're a misanthropic, misogynist nutjob. You know what you remind me of, Bob? When I see a dead lizard lying on the highway and blood and guts oozing out from it, that's what you remind me of, Bob. You know what else you remind me of? When I see diarrhea in a toilet bowl.
On WABC, let's try Ronald checking in on the line. Hello, Ronald.
Yeah, Bob, you're a racist, fascist, conservative, scumbag, and I am a member of Inner Core, and I would like to urinate in your mouth, Bob.
I have a hunch the Gag Hour is not going to last too long. I really do. Miguel, you're on WABC.
Yeah, how you doing, Bob? I mean, you know, I respect your freedom of right to speak and everything, but, you know, I just get crazy when, you know, it drives me crazy when you talk about Native Americans and how you criticized one time when they had that case in Connecticut where they don't pay their taxes. I mean, they ought to have that right, because what we did to them, what you, the Europeans, did to them in when you came over. And also, you talk about Manhattan and how you hate it and everything in New York City. How come? And you don't even live here. I mean, well, you have the right to say it, but I mean, that just drives me crazy. And another thing, I think Howard Stern is, well, I don't know if I should say this, but Howard Stern is number 2 compared to you. Okay, thank you.
You people who keep pressuring me to do a Gag Hour.
Listen.
I'll bet after today you never will bother me again. Let's try Peter. Hello.
I've been listening to you for about the past 28 years, and I can't understand For the love of money, what is it that makes you so great? The only thing that I got to think is that, God forbid, that ever this guy that you keep naming Manelli ever comes to a dead stop, you're going to find so close to his belly that it's going to be incredible. You remind me of pig droppings. You are nothing but a pusillanimous penciled neck geek. You're 5 foot tall with a Napoleonistic complex. You were born from a dysfunctional family. You're going to die a dysfunctional little rat. You ain't nothing but nothing. You remind me of nothing. And I thank God that I have this gag hour when I can lay it on you. Because even though I'm in Manhattan, I smell you all the way here. And guess what? God bless you.
Tony, it's, I think, the gag hour. Go ahead.
Hello, Bob.
Tony from Elizabeth.
Yes, sir, Bob. I have to disqualify myself because I think that the best thing that happened to the WABC is Bob Grant, but also to the United States of America. You are a good American and keep the good job. Thank you.
You see what I mean, Mr. Busey, Mr. Cacciopoli, Mr. Maimone, Mr. Manelli? You see what I mean? All right, we'll continue in this alleged gag hour in just a moment. Oh, Gary.
Good evening, Mr. Grant. I just want to say that we usually listen to the Bob Grant program. We don't. You like to listen to the jerks that are calling you. Your monologues are usually great, but from that point on, you stop working. You allow all these people to call and just vent their anger, and then what you do is you either berate them or you praise them, depending on what they've said. Very little interaction between the phone callers. Rather than hearing someone say, Vintage Frank, that's Vintage Frank from Queens, I'd rather hear some interaction between you and Frank. He has a very lucid mind. You have a very lucid mind, and that's why we call out. That's why we listen, is to hear more of you and the program, not the jerks that call in. I think you've gotten a little bit lazy with your contract. I think you're very set in your ways now, and I think Mr. Manelli needs to look at that and address that. Thanks for letting me talk.
And let's try Don on the line on WABC from Connecticut. It's Don.
Yeah, Bob. When I heard it was get at Grant, I was going to try to get at you through your heart. But now I realize I'm supposed to get at you harshly. So I'm going to have to turn my conversation around. When you say Joe Pine, I wish you were with Joe Pine right now. Let me tell you what, Bob, and it pains me to say this. Because I love you, Bob. But, let me tell you what, when you say you're 4 years old, 30 years ago, that day when John Kennedy died, I don't know about that, Bob. I think I'd be questioning that. And, I love you, Bob. Love you. Keep up the gag. See ya.
You guys getting convinced? All right. Here's Ellie checking in on the line from New Jersey. Hello.
Yes, hi, Bob. You've got to be the most sexiest man on earth. And when I listen to you, I just get so excited. Your virility comes through the radio. I wish that I could be with you.
Not on. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. No, Bob, thank you. Thank you for all the hours of pleasure that you've given me.
All right. Ah, dear. See, guys, it just doesn't work. Now, I guarantee you, you will not talk me into doing a gag hour ever again. This is it. This is not the beginning of the end. This is the end of the end. George, hello.
Is this old man Grant? Is this Bob Grant? Listen, Bob, I could say things like, you're so dumb that you think manual labor is the president of Cuba. I could say things like, you're so dumb you think Johnny Cash is a paid toilet. Or that you're so ugly that when they were passing out the noses, you thought they said hoses and said, I'll take a nice long one. Or when they were passing out the brains, you thought they said trains and said, I'll take a nice slow one. But, I'm not going to say that. And why aren't I going to say that? Because I pity you, Bob. I pity you. You rant and you rave on the radio. And you know what? You're just making people angry who are on the same level as you. You know, what actually you are is ineffective. You're there, you're a little man. The guy who was right when he said you had a Napoleonic complex. You're a little man shaking your fist at the sky. You're nothing but a bald, old, grouchy man. The only difference between you and a guy chewing on a little piece of wheat, sitting on the porch complaining about the government, is that you're in front of a radio. And you know the worst part is, Bob? Not that only that I pity you, but you don't amuse me. You don't amuse me. The only amusing thing you do is put off that spachim or whatever you call them in Albany. And there, how can you lose? Other than that, I pity you. I pity your lonely life where you must have one room and a bare, spare light bulb on the ceiling. And all I can say is, you don't make me sick. Oh, you don't make me sick. I'd be glad if you made me sick, because if you made me sick, it would be a reason to listen. But I listen, I say, he tries so hard. He's not funny. He's not smart. He's not even reactionary. He's just a grouchy old man who's balding. And the other thing is, you had Al Goldstein on one time, and my God, you knew all the pornographic stars. Not only are you a grouchy old balding man, you're probably somebody who watches porno movies all the time when he's not working. But you do let people voice things, or at least WABC does. So that I got to give you credit for. Other than that, though, I pity you, Bob.
Mario, ascendere, tu sei proprio Santini.
All right, Alan from Staten Island, go ahead, please.
Hey, Bob. Every time I listen to you, you remind me of a cross between Reginald Denny and John Babbitt. Wouldn't you agree?
Reginald Denny and who?
John Babbitt, the guy who's, you know what was cut off by his wife.
Well, could you explain why you come up with that comparison?
I don't know. You just remind me of that every time I listen to you. I don't know why.
Well, Mr. Babbitt's a good-looking guy.
Yeah. But keep up the good work, Bob.
Oh, dear. Carl, it's the Gag Hour.
You pathetic, arrogant, nasty, angry, miserable curmudgeon. You're just an angry guy, Bob. You're a guy who likes nothing better than to bitch, moan, and complain day in, day out. You must be hell to live with on a personal level. And I think that the reason why you have the job that you have is because of one major factor, the cutoff switch. You need the cutoff switch. You don't like people talking back to you when you feel like ranting and raving. So what better thing to do in a position like yours than to be able to just shut the noise off? Cut it out. You don't have to hear it anymore. How do you feel about that, Bob?
This is the Gag Hour. Michael, you're on WABC.
Yeah, Bob. You look like Warren Christopher on a bad day, Bob. You're ugly. You got that rug on top of your head.
Okay, well, we had to excise that even in the year 1993. Let's try Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Bob. Hello, Bob. I think you are a real slob. The truth is fact. Your brain lacks nourishment. If I had my way, I'd give you a capital punishment. You think you're young. You think you're smart. Brother, would I love to take you apart? You open your mouth. You think you got the solution. The truth, in fact, is you create air pollution. The problem with you think you know it all. The truth of it is, I'd love to put you against the wall. You talk and you talk a real good game. The truth is, you are insane. Every time you open your mouth, you're always off track. The truth is, you're a real crack. You talk and you boast. The truth is, you deserve to roast. You think you're right. You think you're real. The truth is, you deserve a formaldehyde cocktail. You're very uncouth. You have no manners. Oh, would I love to feed you to the piranhas. You talk about Willie being a slickola. Brother, you are a real sickola. That's it.
All right, let's check in with Joe Nolan one more time. Metro Traffic Control.
He was cracking himself up.
I know he was.
15, let's say no, we get about 25 outbound at the Holland 40.
The one question I've always had, when you finally grow up, will you be taller than Robert Reich? Thank you very much. Please answer the question. I'll wait for your response.
All right, that's pretty clever. Michael from Newark.
Yeah, Bob. Ascendame. There's a provolone spot team.
And that was it. That was it. I didn't hang up on him. Sue, it's the Gag Hour, I think.
You think, huh? Well, how you doing, Bob? How you been, Bob? What's up, Bob? How's life been treating you, Bob? How's life at all, Bob? You have no life, because apparently Cap City's been paying you too much friggin' money, first and foremost. Second of all, you're a fake, phony fraud, as you would so well put it. Number 3, you have no class, no couth. And number 4, if you're any kind of a human being, any, as little as you are, I would have to say you're the biggest J.O. I have ever heard. And the way you are towards gays, if you're anything like what I think you are, the best part of you dripped down your old man's leg. Thank you.
May I make a comment, even though it's a Gag Hour and I'm not supposed to respond? She was extremely classy, wasn't she? Okay, on WABC, let's try Ernie. Ernie, are you there?
You're a real hypocrite, Bob. It's okay for people to call you and congratulate you when Whitman or Giuliani wins an election. But when other people call other hosts at WABC and congratulate them when Bill Clinton won, your question is, what did they do? What did they win? But it's okay for you to take congratulations when other people win. You're a schmuck.
And I didn't bother defending myself to Ernie because I would be violating the rules if I did, but now that he's hung up, just for the record, I've said many, many times I didn't feel that I deserved the kudos or the congratulations. Just for the record, who's ever keeping the record? Is somebody keeping the record? Peter, hello.
Good evening to the king of cantankerous old weasels. I don't understand why I've been listening to your show for so many years. I think people love to hate your opinions, and this is why you have such a following. You are putrescence and biliousness incarnate. You banter and drivel day in and day out about things you can't understand in your sheltered existence. Your soft white underbelly is bloated with hatred and bile, and you need to get a little action from maybe a blind woman, because your frustration shows when you refer to chickie poos as broads. Get a life, get laid, and one more thing, Bob. Main flies meat, moon goon wheat. Thank you.
I'm not even going to ask for a translation of that. Nat from the Bronx.
Hello, Bob. You got some good stuff in you, but I think you're a little vindictive. You've come out with things about Slick Willie. Let go of Slick Willie already. He's the president, and you've made some nasty, nasty cracks about his wife. After all, he's the president of the United States. And what does the rest of the world can think if you can talk about him and his wife like that? Just lay off already. You got some good stuff in you, but you admitted that you don't want to see him succeed. Now, that was a hell of a thing to say. You'd just as soon see the country go down the drain as long as he doesn't succeed. Do you remember saying that, Bob? Hello, Bob.
Yeah, it's permissible for me to answer. Yes, yes, I do.
Well, otherwise, I think you got some good stuff in you, and that's it.
All right.
Good luck. That's all.
Thank you. Oh, well, what the heck? It's the last Gag Hour we'll ever do, so it doesn't make any difference. Mike from New York City. Hello.
Hello, Bob.
Yes.
How you doing? Listen, Bob, I'd like to hear some bad things about you, but I tell you the truth, I agree with you when it comes to the book. But one...
All right. We got rid of him. Peter, hello.
Bob, you fake, phony fraud. You know, somebody that called up a couple of calls ago when they said you're a hypocrite had you right, but you're worse than that. You're a chameleon, Bob. I heard on your show a couple of years ago when you were kissing the tush of Saul Wackler and you wanted him to be the Republican gubernatorial candidate. But of course, this year when he was caught, shown to be the fake, phony fraud that he is, oh, you put him down. And how about Christy Whitman? Oh, Bob, she was no good. You had nothing good to say about her.
Wait a minute. This is a gag hour, but I can't permit these falsehoods to be stated. I never said she was no good. Never said that. As far as Saul Wackler is concerned, I'm not the only one who lauded him. Even the New York Times was saying that he would make an excellent Republican candidate for the governor's chair. So, even though this is a gag hour, I'm not going to put up with falsehoods that some people might believe. Arlene, hello.
Thank you. Hello, Bob. Bob, I've been listening to you for many years, and a lot of times you're way above me, but I'm not calling to insult you. I want to tell you that I love your show, I love you, I love how you think. And I think this should definitely be your last gag hour. You're too brilliant to do something like this.
Yeah, it is. I realize. I feel unclean doing it. I really do.
And I feel that you're wasting time. I don't have that much time during the day, although I have the radio on.
But I want you to know the station called me at home to suggest that I do a gag hour. Yeah, Mr. Busey called me at home to suggest I do a gag hour.
For what reason?
I guess he likes it. I guess he thinks it's funny. I
don't think it's funny. I think it's a waste of your time, your brains, and when I listen to you, I learn something. I'm not learning anything now except how many people who say they hate you listen to you. That's incredible.
Well, of course, we don't, I can't speak for anybody else. I don't care if they hate me, but I do care if they listen. And since they listen, I have no quarrel with them. But I thank you very much.
Okay, Bob, bye.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Well, Bob, I'm telling you, I was waiting for you to tell that previous caller, Arlene, please get off the phone because you wanted someone who was going to gag you. And instead of that, she was fawning and, oh, you're so wonderful, Bob. And, oh, Bob, oh, Bob, Bob. Oh, my goodness, she makes me sick. And she makes me almost as sick as you make me. But I want to say something to you. It's really, I discovered WABC, about a month ago. And I was really enjoying it till I came across your program. And the beautiful part about listening to you is that I can turn you off anytime I want, just like you can turn other people off. Now, I believe probably the best thing that we all could do for you would be to put out a contract and give it to Lynn. Is it Lynn Samuels, who was on also WABC?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'd like to be there to see you personally, only to see Lynn gag you, really gag you with a real gag. And what is she going to do that for? Because she's going to take over your program, and she's going to answer the phone calls, and she's going to answer it with intelligence, because certainly, dear Bob, you do not. And I have to hang up now because, frankly, I feel gagged myself. Good gag to you, too.
All right, here is the person really responsible for the fact we're doing a gag hour, because she kept whining about my doing a gag hour, and that caused Busey, who I'm beginning to question his judgment now, to call me at home. You realize, Lynn, that you're responsible, don't you?
But, Bob, you are so stupid. You allowed yourself to be talked into doing a gag hour when, as you just admitted, whose idea was it? The political moron, the douchebag, the idiot, and yet you were so stupid. You let my influence count. I used it, and I got you to do this, and you fell for it.
Well, I tell you, I'm being somewhat disingenuous. I thought that maybe it would be a nice way to relax for an hour.
You know what's wrong? I know what's wrong. The best gag call you ever got was from Yehudit, and the sun goes down too early now for her to call up.
Ah, that's what it is.
That's the problem.
You're absolutely right.
But you never should have thought. Now, I hear all the things you say about me. How could you have been dumb enough to do something that you knew I wanted you to do?
Well, no, you inspired Mr. Busey to call, you see. And he caught me at a, shall we say, a weak moment. I do have my weak moments, 2 or 3 a year. Are you there?
Yes. Well, it could have been fun.
No, really, originally when I began, I'm sure you recall, it was fun. But I don't know, it had a very short shelf life.
Well, who do you attribute? You know, maybe it's because I'm such a political moron I brought stupid listeners in. And they can't even do a gag hour.
That's possible, very possible.
Have a nice vacation.
All right, I guess everybody will be listening to the Best of Grant from 6 until 10, followed by you at 10 o'clock.
I hope so.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay. Oh, really? She can be a lot of fun. She can be. No? Everybody's shaking their head no. Kiki says no. Kachopoli, no. Bucci, no. John Manelli just came in, thumbs down all the way. Mod on. Hey, John. Okay, let's try Ted checking in on the line. Hello, Ted.
Yeah, Bob. It's a shame that I have to talk about something serious right now, but during this comedy hour. But the problem is that I could never say what I'm going to say right now unless it was in this format, because otherwise I'd be cut off, as so many other people who try to do what I'm going to do now get cut off. Now, you can have someone like Zbigniew Brzezinski in a book called Between Two Ages explicitly call for the establishment of a world government. You can have Mikhail Gorbachev explicitly in speeches delivered at the UN and also a speech delivered at the Kremlin prior to his UN speech, explicitly call for the creation of a world government, which he called a New World Order. You can have the U.S. State Department deliver a policy announcement stating very explicitly that their goal is to ultimately have all the nations of the world disarmed except for just enough weapons, just enough military in each country to keep the population under control, but ultimately have a vast world army under the direction of the UN, very explicitly spelled out. And then you can have Robert McNamara on your show, who I challenged when he was on your show a few years ago, and he actually admitted, and this is an exact quote from him, he said, "I know many men who are working to create world government." Now, why is it that we people who believe that there are many people who have this goal of creating a new world order or world government, why we always have to feel like we're gaslighted? I have the evidence. We could present mountains of evidence to you with direct quotes from people's mouths, and yet we're treated like we're insane. And I want to know why this is the case. Could you answer the question?
Because you are insane.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome, sir. And seemed to amuse a lot of people. It was just a little change of pace, something to perhaps accomplish two things. Number one, some of the people who may have built up a bit of resentment over the years and frustration over some things that they would not be able to say or could not say ordinarily. So let them have at it. Try to take the intimidation factor out of their phone call and assure them that they could revile me without fear of remonstrance on my part. And then, too, just the novelty of it all. And it was, for a while, somewhat amusing, but as you can see, whatever amusement factor there was in the gag hour has been absolutely drained. And perhaps it's unfair of me to expect you to entertain, as it were. But I want to share with you the fact that I do get many, many letters. And some of those letters are from people who write all the time. And when I see their names, recognize something that indicates that they're frequent writers, I don't even bother opening the letters. Like John Lastfogel, for example, just one name that comes to mind. Raymond Paez, another name that comes to mind. I don't even bother, just throw them in the wastepaper basket. But there are other letters that do come in from people who are intelligent, who are articulate, in some cases who are even eloquent. And many of these letters do make a critical commentary. And I want you to know that I do appreciate hearing from you. Next week, of course, I will be away from the microphone, but indeed this program will be in the best possible hands because the incredibly talented Jay Diamond will be sitting in for me. Don't forget the Best of Grant tomorrow and the following Saturday. But until Monday, the 29th, until then, this is Bob Grant hoping you all have a very rewarding Thanksgiving. And remember, your influence counts. Use it.
This is New York and America's most listened to talk radio station.
WABC.